Welcome to From the Ashes, Dungeon Crawler Network podcast all about Ashes of Creation by Intrepid Studios. Bear witness to the rebirth of the MMORPG genre from the ashes of an industry that has left the gamers behind. I'm Aggelos, and I am joined by the most amazing co-host ever. We've got, first and foremost, Alpha Soul. How are you?
Doing good.
Excellent. We also have the one and only Stormslord.
Hey, what's happening?
Doing pretty good. And also Crowjack.
Who?
Yeah, I
What?
don't know. That
Where
guy.
are we? What day is this? I'm confused.
I'd be very confused. I mean, there's a lot going on, and we're gonna have to figure it out. We've got a fun show, guys. I think we're gonna have a few things. We got a little bit of news coming out of Intrepid Studios. We got a new senior producer that got himself let out of the bag. We got a little bit of news about a state of the game address, which we've been waiting patiently for a while. And also some new armor?
Big quotations.
New
Big.
armor? Yeah. That we'll be taking a look at, as well as we're going to be diving into the mailbag. So I think it'll be a lot of fun, especially for this week. All right. Before we jump in the show, though, we got to say thank you to all of our amazing people over at patreon.com/Dungeon Crawler Network, as well as our Twitch subs here, twitch.tv/Dungeon Crawler Network. You guys are amazing. You help us keep the metaphorical torches lit. I would say you help keep the bartender paid, but, evidently they're downsizing here, so.
Again, I don't know about you. I have my drink.
Got my beer.
All right, well, maybe I'm the only one who doesn't have one. This sort of sucks. All right. I'm not doing as well as I thought. Anyway, thank you so much for supporting us there. And also all the people who left us 5-star reviews on iTunes. Sadly, we haven't got any in a while, and I'm really sad about that. Yeah. So, that definitely helps us out, guys. That lets people know we are a real podcast, so we say real words. Sometimes they matter. And it also helps people find us on iTunes when we have those things. So that's definitely helpful. Thank you so much for those who have done that. All right, let's just jump right on into the news. First up, we got, I guess, what day was this that it came out? I actually have it up right here. The 22nd. A new senior producer was, I guess, outed by himself on Twitter. Some of you may know him as Babbletron. I don't, but hey. That's Jonathan. I guess it's Lien? I don't know. I don't know how you pronounce that name. I don't know. Anyway, Babbletron. He actually originally worked, I guess, as a QA individual, both as a QA analyst and a QA assistant lead at Blizzard Entertainment. I know he worked on Cataclysm and Diablo 3, as well as StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty. Now, I heard StarCraft did fairly well. Cataclysm and Diablo 3, not so much. But he was a QA, so what are you going to do? He was there for about 3 years before moving on to NC Software. He was there for the past 5 years plus, something like that. And I know he worked on Blade and Soul, which was big. And from what I understand, he was pretty well liked in the community there. Like, I seen Twitter pop up quite a few times. People on there were all excited about working with this gentleman. I've never worked with him because I stayed away from boobs and soul, but
Nice slip.
no, that was intentional. That there was no
Very
accidental.
It sounds like your favorite kind of armor. Like, just cleavage everywhere, all the vital areas exposed. Like, it's your kind of thing.
Yeah, all the vital areas exposed, and then spikes that when you move, you poke those vital areas. Anyway, we'll talk about spikes later. Anyway, let's keep going. But no, he was apparently very, very well liked, and so it seems to be a pretty good pickup from there. I don't think anyone here actually got an opportunity to work with him in the past.
No.
Yeah. I mean, besides Boob and Soul, it wasn't something that interested me at the time. It wasn't something I even dived into. I heard the combat was really good about it, and it did have its day, but as most NC... Not even the fact it's a Korean MMO, which I generally stay away from just because of all the trappings that come with Korean MMOs. Oddly enough, I'm playing BDO a lot now. Anyway.
Yeah, we wouldn't say that, you know.
Well, yeah, I know. But I don't know. I also try to stay away from anything NCSoft because NCSoft is like the Grim Reaper of MMOs. They will kill anything the second it doesn't start making money at a level that they think it should.
Jeez.
I think there's a lot of, was it City of Heroes refugees still out there?
I remember that, Gabe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No,
they're in business to make money. That's what they do.
and I mean, you're right. They do, but what's weird is from like the quarterly, and I know this is somewhat related, but not really. It sort of is. Like from some of the quarterly reports, it's really funny because City of Heroes was still making money. It just wasn't making money at a level that they thought it should, and they axed it. So, I mean, it made a profit. It wasn't in the negative. So I don't see what was the harm of leaving it up, but
I
apparently...
guess they felt those resources were best spent elsewhere that could potentially make more than just a minimal profit.
Yeah, fair.
They're maximizing the profits as opposed to just taking whatever profits they can get.
Yeah. And, I mean, we know what happened with Carbine Studios and WildStar.
WildStar. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I've heard of that MMO. I never actually dug into it. What happened there?
Well, WildStar, WildStar was a beast in and of itself. They're going back to talk about all the things that went wrong with WildStar was more of a split direction, I believe, first and foremost, because what they toted the game to be early on, it had its followers. People tend to like it, and then at some point, I don't know when it happened, and for whatever reason, there's a guy whose name was Frost. I can't remember what Nathan Frost, what?
Something like that. Yeah.
Anyway, I just remember because he became the spokesperson, and after that point in time, the entire focus of the game shifted to that. I don't know if anyone ever seen the old commercials for it, the hardcore commercials, because they tried to push very hardcore rating. I like hardcore rating.
Yeah.
But they tried pushing hardcore rating to the point of like the old vanilla WoW rating where like you had attunement ratings still.
Yeah, a lot of the background for those, like, basically it was a company started by Blizzard developers, a lot of ex-Blizzard developers, and they wanted to kind of go in the direction of the raid. And so they started off, it was kind of like balanced, but then they, like Aggelos said, they ultimately just doubled down and basically said, we're hardcore raiders, not understanding that that's not enough to sustain your population.
You're targeting the niche within the niche. Like you're targeting the smallest percentage of raiders there.
Right.
But
and then it was
As
just
your base gamer. That's just
the other issue is they couldn't even deliver on that. Like when they because of
That's
course
something
NCSoft had to say you got to get this out. So it went out. It wasn't even ready. Like the raids that they had promised, I think they had part of one.
Yeah.
I think. Anyway.
Yep.
Bless you, whoever that was.
Oh.
No, you're fine. It's okay. Okay. I just thought it was funny. I'm like, hey, great. But so that tend to happen. But then the population it went downhill fast. And eventually, as what NCSoft does, and I mean, in the case of WildStar, I couldn't blame them. It never was able to. They couldn't do enough to reinvigorate the game because ESO had this. You know, it was losing players because it wasn't mainstream enough for them. Honestly, I thought it was better back in the day, but personal.
You're more hardcore than the average gamer.
This is true, but they did a 180 and they brought it back from the brink of death.
Big time.
WildStar couldn't do that, and eventually they just axed it. But they also got rid of the company, and now recently as well, a little bit further news is, and I know we'll probably hear a little bit. I guess what is these other employees, our companies, negative becomes Intrepid's positive because both a ton of people from Blizzard as well as a huge amount. I think it was something along the Arena has 400 people. I think they let go over 100 and something of them just the other day because NCSoft said, "Listen, your earnings aren't great enough. We're cutting your staff."
Yeah.
MMOs are fading. They're just fading as a genre, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just the other genres have. We watched RTS fade. RTSs used to be the king of gaming, and they have faded off to the wayside now.
I mean,
happens.
MOBAs generally are the same thing as well. I mean, yeah, they're still
MOBAs never did the same.
they're still up there, but right now they're not the fad anymore. No one else is even making them. So, like, if Smite or League of Legends ever shuts down, there won't be any more.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
It's a good sign that Intrepid is hiring new staff. That's good to see that they still have it within their budget to expand their staff. That's a very positive thing to see.
Yeah. And chat room is saying 143 people were let go from ArenaNet
143.
out of 400.
Oh yeah, that's a big 10%, right? That's a big chunk. Yeah.
Right. That is massive. So yeah, we should start seeing probably a few other names probably from ArenaNet. I would not be surprised if we saw them from being picked up.
So you gotta wonder why they're letting them go too. Talking about a topic, but you gotta wonder why they're letting them go, right? Is it typical development based strategy to let them go, or is it they're looking to make themselves pretty to be bought by somebody else?
Right.
Right. They're gonna lower their cost per developer.
You know what's actually really funny? Hold on. I'm glad you mentioned that. The CEO of NCSoft has publicly stated he wants to sell. He's tired.
That's
He
what you
wants
do.
to retire.
That's what you got to do, right? You got to make yourself look pretty, and so somebody's going to court you.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, so we have that in line. Moving on, we're going to talk about pretty much this dropped about 10 seconds before we decided to go live. I should say it wasn't much longer than that, but we got a blog post about the state of the game live stream and new armor. Anyway.
Quotations, big quotations.
Big quotations. So we do have a confirmed date now for the live letter, which is Thursday, March 7th. So
Thursday, March 7th. So hopefully it comes out before this podcast. That'd be fantastic.
it would be. It would be. Now, before we get into this, I am actually going to skip ahead in our notes, and we're going to read a fan mail. Because we're going to be mixing some stuff in here, and I think it's a good time to bring this in. Because it's an app question, and we could talk about this a little bit. Anyway, this is from Michael, and the subject of this was making AOC MMORPG real again. Hi again. I suggested a couple months ago that Intrepid Studios should make it a goal for Q1 2019 to make Ashes of Creation MMORPG real again. Well, I'm feeling need stronger than ever now, especially after episode 83 speculation about possibly looking at major architecture changes. I feel like Marty in Back to the Future, where I'm looking at a picture of the future of Ashes of Creation MMORPG and it's beginning to fade. Quick! Do something! We need to save the future!
That was a lot of enthusiasm. You woke me up
Yeah.
a little stupid there. It's like, ugh.
Sorry, it was Back to the Future. I mean, I felt like I had to give it that emphasis. It's apt that question was asked because the director's letter that we're going to see on Thursday, like I said, we'll probably even delay the show if for whatever reason it's not out by 9 p.m. Eastern time. I highly doubt that's going to be the case.
Oh, for sure.
To talk about it, because that's pretty much going to be our entire show next time. I really don't foresee us doing anything else.
Or we do the other idea we had.
The Chipmunks?
Not the chipmunks, where we actually delayed the talk of the letter to the after party.
Oh yeah, we could totally do that.
Just skip it. Just ignore it. It's not important information. Not podcast worthy.
All I see in my head is if anyone's ever watched Zootopia before.
Yep.
Okay, you Chief Bogo up there. We've got some new recruits. Who cares? So we got a director's letter. Who cares?
That's all.
Anyway, so that's coming out, and we're going to have a live stream on March 8th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. The director's letter, I could see where he's coming from. And the wording that he used was the MMORPG reel again. That's a common thing we are seeing throughout the entire Ashes of Creation community.
Yeah, it's no longer just the trolls, and it's no longer the people who are pessimistic, and it's no longer the rational people. It's everybody now. It's worked its way up the ladder of even the most optimistic of us, myself, even we're beginning to feel that way. It's just permeating its way through everything.
Right. And as we talked about last episode, especially Storms and I who've done development and Alpha with project management, we know how delays are. I'm not even talking negative about the delays of anything like that, but we've had such vagueness all across the board that, and I sort of get it. I feel like they were not I'm trying to find the exact wording of how I want to say that. I think it took them by surprise that the community that has been so optimistic up until this point literally slapped you upside the head and went, "Where's our stuff?"
It's amazing that as soon as they announced they want to do a battle royale, how quickly opinion changed. It almost like to the minute they announced that was their intention to use it as a test ground, not even release as a full product, just initially as a test bed, people got super scared super quick, and sentiments, the mood changed real quick at that point.
I don't think the mood changed. I'm on to you with that. I don't think the mood changed then. I think it changed then when Apocalypse was announced. I think that's when it really turned.
Like, if it started to cool on the initial announcement, that made it go, like, frigid. Like, you're right. When it became a full standalone product that they started to monetize in its test state, like, people got just squirrely, just ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, you said it's that Fortnite fear. We've seen it before. Fortnite was originally not a battle royale game. It was a co-op,
Zombie
PvE.
wave, co-op, survival.
Yeah, game. Like, the idea of it was you were supposed to get with your friends and in a PvE style thing, build bases and defend yourself. And that got thrown. I don't believe... Yeah, and honestly, like I see in some of the chat room, like, we're still doing a show about it. We're optimistic about the MMO.
Long-term.
But long-term, seeing what we're seeing now and what the community's feeling... The letter is apt. Like, he was very respectful in the letter, and he has that desire to see this. I'm just still hoping that director's letter is succinct enough to get the point across without dodging, iframing around like crazy to avoid damage.
Be upfront. Be upfront. Just tell us straight up. We're all grown adults. You said your Discord is dedicated to adults because adults are the main people for MMOs now. We were teenagers or young adults when we started, and now we're much older adults now, years and years later. So treat us like adults and be straight up with us.
Right.
Yeah, if this isn't directly state things, that's going to make it even worse. It needs to come out, and it needs to be very honest. And that's okay to postpone until you get to that point. Yeah. But when you keep saying, wait till that, you got to say something.
Stringing us along, carrot on a stick style.
You got to say something when you say you're going to say it, or it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
And I get the fear, but I get the fear of not wanting to drive people away. But let me tell you this, Steven. I'm talking to you right here. I'm just looking at you, Steven. Right
pull up a chair.
Right here. Just pull up a chair. if Bless Online was any indication of it doesn't matter what you do and what red flags are thrown, people will still come to it. Who cares? You're still making the game. When the game comes out, people are they will come. Like that old Hallmark movie. If you build it, they will come.
Make a good product,
right,
and everything will be okay.
Right.
All this stuff we're encountering right now, people will not even care about. They'll remember it and just throw it aside if the product is good.
Yeah, I genuinely feel delay. I mean, sure, people will complain right now, and you may have people, you know, put up a video. Oh, I can't believe it. Blah blah blah. You know what? Who cares? At the end of the day, if you release a good product and you know people love it, nobody will care how long it's delayed. Nobody will care, basically.
Don't forget real quick.
Oh yeah, they will. Oh yeah, they will. I talk about veteran levels now in ESO, and people go, "What's that?" I'm like, "You played during that time. It's not even like you left. You played." Yep. Anyway, so yeah, they need to be very upfront. And I keep thinking about, you know what game has some of the most devoted fans I've ever seen? And Camelot Unchained.
Oh, yeah.
Like those, and they're not like rabid white knights or whatever, but those guys are like 5 years behind. But I gotta give it to Mark Jacobs when they discovered they had to rebuild the entire engine. He went out on a live stream, sat on his couch, and said, "Listen, it's not working. We're rebuilding from scratch. Everything we've done up until now."
While he's talking, he's got red paint. Listen, guys, we're not doing this. He's drawing a target on his chest in that live stream for everyone to shoot at him while he's telling them that. That is brave.
I mean, yeah, like that felt like it was suicide. But those people are so dedicated. Like, I see, if you go to Massively OP, okay, and you see them talk about any game being delayed, it is full of negative comments.
Yeah.
When Camelot Unchained says they're being delayed, like, go back and look at the beta announcement when it's like, it's supposed to be out in July. Okay, we had to push it back. Oh, we had to push it back again. Yeah. There was, like, no negative comments. And everyone's like, yeah, we got to give it to Mark Jacobs. He was upfront about it. And you know what? He was that brutally honest. We felt bad about it and went, okay, you know, we'll give you the time you need. I think people respect the honesty more than the PR speak.
The respect of looking back, right? History. When you look back in history and you see the honesty, that's respectful. I mean, people will be mad in the moment.
Oh, yeah.
People will be mad for 24 hours, 48 hours a week, whatever. But again, a month later, 2 months later, a year later, 5 years later, when you look back and you see all that honesty, people will respect that.
Yes.
When the emotions cool.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Nintendo. I love using Nintendo as an example. They delay the crap out of their games, and their gamers give them crap all the time, but nobody complains because their product is quality. Right? At least of the release games, that is. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what you got to look at. I mean, it really is. The honesty is something that people want to talk about. And I see people say Camelot Unchained is the most transparent development for backers ever. I mean, I'd argue that Star Citizen is fairly large like that too. Like, those guys have a level of transparency that is beyond. The issue isn't so much about with Star Citizen that we don't get information. It's like,
it's their ability to deliver.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, guys, take a step back. I love that you're telling us all this stuff you're going to do, but how about you do something before you tell us the next thing?
Absolutely.
Fun times.
And not sell us another massive ship.
Or another BR skin. Oh.
Or another BR skin. Oh my God. Get ahead of ourselves here.
No, we're actually right in time. We're going to go ahead and talk right about the next thing. They showed off some new for podcast listeners. We're all doing air quotes.
Big old air quotes.
Some mana forged armor sets that are in development. I mean, okay. Before I jump into this, I do have to always say, I know this is going to come across as negative, and it will, and that's fine. I appreciate the effort of trying to show something now. Because
Yeah.
we just talked about showing stuff.
Yeah.
But I will honestly say this feels like low-hanging fruit.
This is a balm to try and soothe the burn of the negativity to come, right? Whenever they want to say something kind of bad, they want to at least give you a little something to be excited about to kind of like counteract it. That's what these skins are.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But even with,
I'm
Yeah.
expecting more in the live stream.
Yeah.
They're gonna say and the letters that come out, the negativity is gonna flow. The live stream is gonna try and cover up and soothe that letter. It's gonna happen.
Funcom just got a deal to a 6-year deal to work on the Dune series. Have anyone ever seen Doom or read the books?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dune, yeah, not Doom.
Oh,
Doom.
with the spice.
Yeah,
such,
the
right?
spice will
Yes.
flow.
I have
Yeah.
a little
The
bit of knowledge.
spice.
Of it,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When you said that, just made me laugh. Sorry.
yeah. Oh god.
Because he's like, it will flow. I'm like, the spice will flow. That just made me think. Dune. Anyway, Funcom has that now. Anyway, moving on. Like I said, we're going to talk about these. First one we're going to show. I think I have it up. Oh, there it is. This is called, I can't even pronounce that word. Guard of the Effulgent? Effulgent for anyone who could speak better than I can.
Effulgent?
Effulgent?
Is it a silent G? Effulgent?
I feel like I should have
Silent
should have
G.
got a pronunciation of that first.
Effulgant.
Yeah.
F-U. I mean,
F you. Well, thanks a lot.
Well, there you go.
Here we go.
Name-
Hold
that's
on.
the name of this game.
We're gonna use good old Google and the listen feature.
Effulgent.
Silent
Effulgent.
Effulgent.
Ah.
G. Is it a hard G?
It's like
Or
it's
J
a
sound?
fool. Yeah, Foolgent. So,
Yep.
but it's an upside
Effulgent.
down E, whatever that means.
Hmm.
Whatever.
This skin is bright and loud.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, this
Yeah.
reskin.
So they do have some lore with this. I don't really know how much lore it is, but I'll read it for the lore, man, because I do like lore. With every stitch is a silent prayer, a cry for protection and safety against a harsh world. The soft light is a wordless answer. Pass through the night and go in peace. Okay, before we talk about this, the reason why, and yeah, I see people are like, lore? Really? Yeah,
It's like a poem.
sure. Again, big plus about what they've done in the past, but I wouldn't really call that lore. The fact that these skins, first off, I think these are going to be Apocalypse skins, and I know they'll carry over to the MMO, but this feels like such low effort. And the reason why I say low effort is because all these things existed already.
Yep.
Every single one.
Looking at that white armor, the leather straps, all that stuff already exists on the pre-existing white armor. All they've done is recolor the accents, if you will. That's it.
These are all right, and I will address this. Diggs, these are skins. Okay, the armor mesh model already exists. They did not create a new mesh model. They took a new skin, a new texture, and overlaid it. That is by very definition what a skin is.
Yep.
Might
The
be
one
being
center
sarcastic.
right is the plate. The one center left is the leather that we have in APOC.
We already have each and every one of these. And I get the answer. I know Steven would say, like, yes, this is armor for the MMO. But I think it's going to be armor for the MMO. And the reason why I'm going to say this, I will explain myself. The reason why I think this is going to be APOC, which does carry over to the MMO because you can use it, is because they already talked about how in-depth the customization is supposed to be. We're supposed to be able to die and all this. Why are they wasting time on doing another mesh skin unless it's for APOC? Because why couldn't we just dye this ourselves? Like, I really find that to be a low... If this is supposed to be MMO armor that we get in-game, that is lowest of low effort I've ever seen when it comes to this.
It wouldn't surprise me though if it is, just because I mean, all they promised with APOC, right, is just skins, right, of existing armor, which stands to reason that you've you have to have a similar piece, just a different colorway available in the MMO, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's all this could be. So when they say it's MMO, it might just very well be that. But at the end of the day, we've all played APOC here, and we can see that it's really just a reskin, right?
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe this will offer something else. Like, if it is an armor that's supposed to be in the that does not appear in APOC, which I would be insanely shocked if this did not appear in APOC in the next season pass.
Good thought.
And you'll see as we go through this how they design this stuff. I expect this to be the next season pass cosmetics that we can get.
Gotcha.
And Diggs, brother, I'm not coming against you one way or the other. I normally don't address chat, but I feel like it. I agree that's what you said, but, just because that's what Steven said doesn't necessarily mean it's exactly the case. I believe you 100%. I just have my doubts. So...
And one thing I'm a little disappointed about is if, let's say, this is APOC skins for the following season, you mean to tell me that that much time to develop new cosmetics for the following season to entice people to get the battle pass for the following season, but the meshes are the same and you just recolored the accents. That's what differentiates season 1 to season 2. That's lazy. If this is, as we're theorizing, battle pass season 2 armor potentially. It's quite lazy and discouraging.
And again, going back to, like I said, from the MMO, if we're supposed to have all this customization options, why are they bothering making 900 variations when the dye system should allow us to take care of that ourselves? Yeah. And I agree, Diggs. It does sound crazy. I just have my doubts. Regardless of what Steven just said, I honestly believe when he says it's MMO armor. I believe that it's MMO armor and that if you earn it in APOC, you could carry it over into the MMO. I don't think this is going to be a raid gear or anything of that nature. Anyway, you see this one. Next one up here, I'm going to pull it up here for everyone to see. Again, if you are listening to this on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, SoundCloud, or Spotify, there will be a link in the description below that you can look at these images when you are not driving somewhere safe. Please don't do that when you're driving. Anyway. All right. Livery of the Setting Sun. Hey, guess
I'm a
what?
little more interested in this one.
Yeah.
All right. So when blacksmiths work droplets of the setting sun into plate and steel, heroes need not fear the dark, nor blade, nor claw. Thank you for the poem. Why are
Totally lore. Oh my god, such lore.
Yeah.
So the set on the right looks very similar to what we've seen in APOC. The left one is a little different.
Wait, left as we're looking at it now? Like,
oh, wait, sorry. All right, so
wait.
so if you're staring
My
at
other
the
left.
picture,
Uh-huh.
if you're staring at the picture, the ones on the left are the ones I think we've not seen before.
So the cloth
That still
armor,
makes
right?
sense?
You refer
Yes,
to
the
those
cloth armor.
leather ones? There you go.
Yes, the cloth leather-ish thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recognize the those cloth ones as much. Is that a recolor of the leather armor we've seen in APOC?
I would actually agree, and chat room's even saying that what we've been told so far is this is supposed to show a difference between the level 0, the armor you get when you walk into the world, versus the armor that it will become later. Now, we've seen the one on the right as we're viewing it here, if you're looking at the image.
Yes,
That's
right.
the plate mail of the Shining Guard. I think that's what it was called. Very early on, we've seen that one as well.
Right.
And go from here. Now, both of these armor sets are supposed to be either the Empyrean or the Kalar. These, I think, are the Empyrean, the Elven style ones.
Oh, for sure.
Whereas the ones
Screams elf.
above were Kalar.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Gotcha. So it's progressively, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, it grows a little bit. But for those who are listening, again, really the only difference is it's armor we've seen before, but what they've done is they've added accents around the outer edges, especially to add this almost like a flame glow. And I see, people in chat, I prefer simplistic armor. I'm with you on that. Crojack, I think, would probably like this more because you were always saying you like a brighter.
I'm a vibrant personality. Yeah. I love vibrancy. I love bright and colorful things.
Yeah. So this would appeal to you far
more. I find
more
it fascinating. Than me. I just wish there's not enough bulk to the armor that I've seen so far. Not enough size, not enough volume. They're all very form-fitting, very sleek, very, very elven. Like almost all the armor we've seen in all these podcasts this time has been very elven in nature.
Very metro.
I want human. I want to see dwarven armor. I want to see some bulk for once.
I would agree with that because up until you start seeing the legs, like the legs on this first piece, like look where the shin guards are. They actually look like armor. Whereas if you look over at the number 4 in the list, which is just the variation or whatever, that's supposed to be plate mail. And it looks more like a robe to me than not. Because if you played APOC, that was the heavy armor.
Yeah.
Right. That was the heavy armor. Yeah, I've had the same kind of opinion of that armor in general. In fact, it's not too far away. If you guys remember, like the robes, the blue robes and the crimson robes, it's not too far away from that when you're looking at both of them. Yeah.
Right. Next one up here is the Eldritch Touched Regalia, which again, we've seen Eldritch items before, and again, it just reinforces the idea that this is going to be APOC.
It looks so similar, if not the same.
It's exactly the
that is a problem.
Oh my god, yeah. That picture actually is exactly what jarred my head. I was like, I've seen that before, and the reason I know, that one is because I got out of a match and I was pretty damn sure that they spotted me because I was in the bright red robes. And so I was like, screw this, I'm going all natural, basically. And I chose that specifically because it blended more in the background.
Yep.
I figured it'd be harder to spot. So outside of the little blue things that are coming out of it, that's the same thing.
Yeah. No, it's 100% the same. Now, I don't remember seeing the first 4 images we saw. I've definitely seen in the
that's default skin.
Default
skin. I think
skin.
that's APOC default skin.
It is.
The ones on the right are like the higher level versions of that, where they've added on like plates on the hips and plates on the shins and plates on the shoulders and stuff.
Here's actually something that I think is going to be kind of interesting, and I'm curious how they do this. And this is more of a modeling question than anything. ESO suffered from this so hard, the floating hip plates.
Yeah. Did they actually fix that?
It got better later on, yeah. But early on, the floating hip plates were... Yeah. It's identical to what we've seen in APOC, other than they took everything that was a base metallic color before and added a blue glow to it now. Should I even read the lore?
No.
I wouldn't read the lore.
It's not even lore. It's just
I agree. If it was lore, I would, because I am a lore hound, but this just doesn't feel like lore.
I will say, I do like the one on the right. If you're facing it, the one on the far right.
The red?
Which is the red. They're both red on the sides, but the one a little more fancy.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, honestly, while I prefer more realistic, that I would wear. That would be...
It's roguelike.
It is roguelike. I prefer more plate-ish, but I would wear that because that actually looks fairly nice overall. Moving on to the last image that we have, which is the Rune Weavers Ensemble, whatever you want to call it. This we've already had.
Yep.
Like this
close.
You could buy this in the store. It was the Robe of Crimson something or another.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that got me killed.
Yeah, that's the one that killed me. I know it.
Bright red. I wonder what.
Yeah. No, that bright red one, and I think there's a blue one as well. So if you're looking at this, the 2 on the right. Hold on, I gotta do that. Okay, yeah, that's left. Okay, so yeah, 2 on the right already exist exactly in the game already, minus the glowy little runes that are on it, which aren't even. They essentially, all I can picture in my head is how Guild Wars 2 does it with, like, whenever you pick up a piece of armor, it shows you 3 blocks. to show this is part 1, part 2, part 3, and they picked part 3 and said bright blue.
Yeah.
That's literally.
Don't get me wrong. They look cool. We've seen them before, though.
Yeah. That's why when we look at this and go new, honestly, okay, I will give the benefit of the doubt. Like the first 3, I don't remember seeing those. I feel like that's honestly, I think it already existed. Well, I think they existed already, and the jacket was a natural evolution, so they had that already.
To me, these are all the same.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the same base. They're the same. I'm not thrilled by any of them, except the color blue, which I like. Other than that, I'm not intrigued by any of them.
I'd be willing to bet, looking at these like more closely now, that Storms is right. They're all the same base, and they all have a lot of like the same designs, but there probably are like little tweaks here or there. And I'm gonna go back over like my footage and compare, some of the older ones to the new ones, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like, I'd say like 90% the same with some little tweaks here or there.
If you discount the highlighted fringes, I would bet you don't find a single thing that's different.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how many more details were added, if any.
Yeah.
Curious.
Minus, like I said, there's the 3 on the front, the last image, the Rune Weaver we had. Those 3 I don't think were ever in there. But compare the other 3, I bet you they're especially the red and the blue, because I think you have both of those.
I do.
I bet you not a single thing is different besides the blue glow. Not one thing. Which, again, is why this feels very, very low effort. I mean, it would be great had they given us something like, despite the fact it was gray box, the bear animation. I don't like the bear animation, but I don't get bear mounts. I just don't. Anyway, but that, at least with gray box, that was something different, right? Even gray box with no textures on it was something different than this. I honestly feel like they went in to like whatever the modeling software, picked a different color, went boop, done.
Why can't they show us anything new? Why are they so reluctant? Why? We're starting to ask that question now because of what's
too
happening.
often. To be honest. They're making us ask that question.
They're making us ask that question. September, October, the Battle Royale. December, it's supposed to come out, and then it didn't, and then Cast of Siege, and then it didn't, and we're at this point now in February, almost March, literally almost March, where we're asking that question now.
And it's not even just us. Like, yeah, we are, I would say, probably the hardcore fans, but even we're now asking, hey. And we've been definitely supporters of everything that they've been doing so far. And I'm still fine with delays. But
you don't even need to see anything polished.
No.
Nor finished. Any state.
Yeah, the gray box is a perfect example. I love seeing that gray box. It'd be great. But I definitely feel like today's thing, I don't know, kind of felt like they just needed something else to make it more than a paragraph of, yeah, here's a new letter.
Marketing went, we need to put something positive here. What do you got for us? And they threw that in there.
Yeah. It's just,
you're right.
Definitely low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, you're right. I actually, so I've been comparing while you guys have been talking. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's identical.
I was thrown off because... And actually, they're both the same, to be perfectly honest. The one on the left is what you get before you've put on any armor. And the one on the right is once you've collected the top and the bottom half.
So not even that part is...
At least for the last picture, that's what it is. Because I'm staring at...
so you're saying if you have one of those robe costumes on, that's what you look like before you pick armor up.
Yeah, because you pick up armor and it completes the set.
Exactly. Like because I've got the whole video recorded. So you have me running around, before the pre-lobby and then into the match. And as I'm in my pre-lobby, I look exactly like it is on the left. And then as I pick up items, you see it turn into the right without the little glowy things. But that's exactly what it is.
So the white one and the blue one are just recolors of the thing that already exists.
Mm-hmm.
At least the red. Oh, sorry. At least the red and the blue one. I don't have a white one. Here.
Well, yeah, we don't have a white one, but the white one honestly looks identical than the others. It's just a.
It is.
Yeah.
Just comparing images, it's a straight recolor.
Yeah, straight recolor.
Yep.
Different mesh. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Who is excited about next week?
Next week is going to be a show.
Don't miss that podcast.
Definitely don't miss the podcast. Anyway, we're going to dive into our mailbag yet again to wrap up this show. And this is coming from Unknown One. This is a guilds question. Hello again. I'm a fan of the show, and I've sent in a question before. Yes, I know. Hello. I'm here again with another question. From what I understand, guilds will have a progression tree, whereas the fewer members you have, the deeper you go. This is what makes smaller guilds competitive with larger guilds. My question is, what is to prevent people from metagaming it? If a guild gets stronger directly proportional to fewer members it has, what is to prevent an 8-player group of one-man guilds from clearing a dungeon? Or if diminishing returns starts at 8 players, 5 groups of 8 players in guilds for 40-man content. Of course, these guilds would unofficially, in-game-wise, be just one guild or even offshoots of one guild. Example, Hands of Fate 1, Hands of Fate 2, etc. Even consisting of only a few players in order to maximize the benefits from guild progression. If I remember correctly, there will be an alliance cap, but that still wouldn't prevent someone like you, the GM of Hands of Fate 1, to just say to your other members, don't attack Hands of Fate 2. We're one guild. All this doesn't even include the fact that Hands of Fate 1 and Hands of Fate 2 could have different alliances with various guilds bypassing the alliance cap. P.S. If you could ever ask Steven this, I would like an official response. And he goes, wouldn't we all?
Well, yeah. I can think of a couple ways off the top of my head how you can prevent that. And some games have done, very similar. For example, if you go to war, how many guilds can actually be in it? And if it, goes to the controlling guild and the only controlling guild, and then you start limiting based on you can only join after X amount, or if somebody is at war or a declaration, you can't jump between. There are a lot of things that you could do to quell that. And then it also depends on what are the actual benefits, large versus small, right? Yeah.
See, I'm going to mention this. First off, I do believe people are going to metagame this. We already talked about metagaming it. I know other guilds are. When we see what is the guild point, like the power that you're talking about isn't so much that it's sort of like how BDO is a great example. As you level up, as the guild levels up, you gain guild skill points to apply to stuff. Every once in a while, you need to increase the guild cap, but there's a limit on how many skill points you get. I don't think BDO stops you. I think you can max it out in time. But this one, the way they described it is it caps out at 300 people.
Yes.
If you pick all 300 people, you then have X amount less of points to spend elsewhere. I think what people are going to do is they're going to determine whatever their guild's doing, PvP, whatever, pick the traits that are important, and then from there, expand the guild out. Once they cap that out, they'll only go so far, and that's the case. Like, that's what we're going to see. The thing is, and I noticed people were saying, like, it'll be difficult to manage. I don't think that's the case anymore, especially with things like Discord. Like, honestly, in-game systems aren't going to be a huge thing going forward, especially with how connected we are. In the past, it was unheard of to be outside of a different guild, or they would have training guilds, and they were still being connected in a different way, and it was a bear to manage. But the systems that we have now, Discord, Steam groups, stuff like that, Facebook groups, for all we know, these things didn't exist 10 years ago. Well, Facebook did, but, way, way long ago, it didn't matter. You are going to see people metagaming. I don't know how you could really adjust it other than the fact that maybe there's an XP cap, or it takes so long to level, it would be inefficient to make a small guild group because it would take so long to level up.
Depends on your purpose. Depends on the guild's purpose. Is this guild going to be doing castle sieges? If it is, odds are you'll want 300 freaking people to siege that castle. Is this guild going to be a small, tight-knit raiding guild and only a small, tight-knit raiding guild? Maybe you only want 40 or 50 people tops. It depends on your guild's objective. And then within your alliance, maybe you have a guild in that alliance of the Zergers for the castle siege, and then you have your other guild that is your tight-knit group for the raiding, et cetera, within the built-in alliance. The question is, will the power level of those 40 people in PvP be good enough to take on the power level of 300 people? I highly doubt it.
You made a really good point there. That is a natural cap because castle sieges require you to be, I guess, part of a same guild or alliance. I don't know if you go have a mercenary type system, but that's a way you could limit it too. Whereas maybe even in your mercenaries or alliance, you can either only have guildies, alliance members, and at most 1 or 2 mercenary guilds. And that's how you cap out the 900 smaller guilds. That would be my thoughts.
Yeah.
I know there's probably larger guilds who are probably just going to use the alliance system as one big guild system. And
there's 4 guilds in one alliance, right? If I remember my numbers. So
Yeah.
what if there are 4 groups of 30 people, right?
Yeah.
Or 40 people, whatever their numbers is in their guild. They could do that.
Right.
But then they might find themselves at a disadvantage when it comes to node sieging and castle sieging. We're gonna have to wait until we have the alpha in our hands so we can actually take a look at the talent tree and see what's worth it, what's not worth it. Do I want to get up to this point in the power level and then go the rest into number of people? Like, how do you balance that? We have to wait and see.
Yeah. It's hard to tell without knowing what it is. If like one of the traits is, I don't know, something along the lines of your entire guild wears matching berets, who cares, right? Like maybe some people would care, but
No.
I don't care.
Oh, come on.
I just got overruled. Co-GM's like, nah, not going to happen.
But from what we're told, it is supposed to be a power increase for smaller guilds to help them balance. That's what we've been told so far.
I honestly think that power increase is, like you said, if you go all the way up to 300 members, you're actively giving up. But
But you have 300 members.
you have 300 members. Yeah.
So it depends
But
on
with the
purpose.
current systems, I don't see a way of blocking that from mattering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. And I see Bob Doley in chat says, is this guild formed of Crow's viewers? I doubt we'd hit 300. No, I'm just kidding.
No, right now, no, not even close. We have a long way to go, everybody.
I'm just messing with Crow. I watch him every day, so that's okay.
That's your mistake.
It's either that or looking at audit documentation. So you are slightly better than FDIC audit regulations.
Yes. It's amazing. Oh, life goals.
Only slightly. Anyway, thank you so much, Unknown One, for that one. I really appreciate that. We have one final email we'll answer before we end this. This is, again, from Michael. This is called Casting and Magic. Before I read this, if you are interested in sending in your own mail, head over to dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. There's a link that says Contact Us. Fill that out, and we'll get that email. I love seeing this stuff from our listeners. So, I generally play a caster DPS in MMOs. It's what I like. I really like it when my character can distinguish himself in power based on mastering buffs, spells, spell interactions, dots, etc. Theory crafting to figure out what works best. Based on what we know, is Ashes of Creation going to have advanced caster/magic system like this? Related to this, mastering these buff spell combinations requires test dummies and damage meters. Do you know if we will have those in-game? Thanks, Michael.
As far as I know, there's going to be no damage meters or third-party add-ons. Steven was pretty reluctant on that kind of thing last we heard.
Yes.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean, though, actually, even though ESO it has add-ons, they actually added target dummies that tell you what your DPS is. So console players can actually attack a target dummy, and it will tell them what their DPS is.
I love how we always have to make concessions for console players. Here you go, little console player. Here you go. Have your little dummy. Here's your DPS meter. There you go, buddy.
Yeah, fill that in.
Pat on the head. Good job.
Do you think that's a mistake? their position, at least?
Not having damage meters?
No, not damage meters specifically. I mean add-ons in general, their stance with add-ons.
I think it is. And I think through, maybe not upon release, maybe on release they won't do it, but if they don't eventually open it up to that, they're missing a part of the community. They're turning off a part of the MMO community.
I would agree.
Not only that, but it's the crowdsourcing for information.
Yes. There we go.
WoW did this, where eventually they looked at add-ons that when they looked at it went, wow, we realized that 90% of our player base is utilizing one specific add-on.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
make that a
great
feature
information.
in the game.
Absolutely.
Right.
Quest tracking in World of Warcraft was an add-on first, and they built it into the game.
Yeah.
Remember
I mean-
Vanilla?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Markers on your mini-map. They were nowhere to be found.
No?
ESO without add-ons, like, can you imagine that? Or try using it without add-ons? Especially, like, they've gotten better. They've added a lot of things
The
over
marketplace
time.
without add-ons?
Oh,
I won't
yeah.
sell
Are you kidding me?
anything.
Right?
Yeah.
World of Warcraft dungeons without add-ons? At the
But-
complicated raids at the hardest levels now, without their add-ons warning them of incoming attacks and stuff,
Yeah.
the World of Warcraft culture would be completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that they never had to develop because you have thousands of people helping you along with these tertiary things that are adding value to the game, right?
But here we are looking at raid fights in World of Warcraft with these dungeon add-ons telling you when the attack comes and stuff.
That's true.
That's a line you have to walk.
That is true.
Because of those add-ons, you have to make those raids even more difficult, necessitating the need for add-ons even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
It's a fair point. Yeah.
So based on the damage meters, we talked about that. I'm curious about the evolving. I think where you're going to get that complexity from, Michael, is the class subclass system. That's where you're going to get your complexity with the additions, the add-ons, when you're changing how your spells are based on your subclass or maybe your religious affiliation. I do think you're going to have that level of interaction when it comes to different spells, but you're going to be augmenting spells you currently have. Here's a question for you guys. This is something I just thought about. The Kickstarter and summer packages had special effects for spells that make cosmetic spell, changing the way that spells look through a cosmetic. Issues?
I didn't think so until you made me think about it right now.
Yeah.
'Cause what I'm thinking about for player versus player combat, visual cues to know what your opponent is doing. Is my opponent casting a heal? If you are changing how that heal looks, it better still look like a heal so I know he's healing himself, right? Those visual cues are important in player versus player combat.
The other thing
very
is
much
it's
so.
not very popular either, because even if
rare.
every single person got them, which I think they did, that's still only a potential base of a couple thousand players, I think it was.
Amongst millions.
Yeah, amongst
So
millions.
if you're saving an interrupt ability for a specific spell that you know that class uses, but then they have a different animation on it, what if you don't recognize the animation? Because like you said, it's a relatively rare one.
Yeah.
You don't know what spell to interrupt. Could be a potential issue there. Not like not huge, not like destructive, not game breaking, but awkward and annoying.
Yeah.
I think it's enough. Yeah.
I think later on, as the game advances, it'll become more and more. And I see people talking about whether we don't know if it's a different animation. It could be. We don't know.
It could be a different color.
Is the
that's it.
fireball
Who
just
knows?
going to be blue instead of orange?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that's not such a huge deal, but we don't know about it. But as I'm sitting there thinking about it, early on, I think it'll be commonplace because when the game first releases, that's when every single Kickstarter backer is going to be in there jumping around and they'll be throwing them around. We'll know what they look like. Post a few months as they obviously leave the game. I say obviously because that happens with every MMO. Ashes is not going to be for everybody.
Nope.
I mean, if I look at the armor's definitely not for me. But anyway.
What? Have you said that before?
Oh, I think I might have mentioned it
broken
once.
record.
Yeah.
Did you say it? Did you say it?
Oh, I think I've said it. The other thing is elves. They're not for me either, but, whatever. Yeah, so I think as those players leave, because they will. I mean, even if it's a good game and over time, they will get bored. A couple years into it, you're still going to have that rarity of Alpha Soul's still playing, and he now does this fireball that doesn't even look like a fireball anymore. And new players are coming in going, what in creation? I thought I knew what class he is. What in creation? Get it? What in Ashes of Creation is this? That was not meant to be a pun, but
now it is.
Yeah, you reached for it.
What in creation?
I'm a dad. I reach for all my jokes. That's how it works.
Hey, dad jokes come naturally.
Dad jokes are the best jokes.
If these Kickstarters have the ability to change the cosmetics of their animations, will the developers allow other people down the road to have other ways of
future
changing
cash
their
shop
spells?
items?
Yes.
Future cash shop items. Are we going to see blue fireballs, red fireballs, fireballs that are bigger, fireballs that are smaller, fireballs that aren't even fireballs, fireballs that are jumps,
fireball here,
fireballs that take the shape of something?
Yep,
fireballs.
yeah.
Everyone's going to have their own Patronus from now on.
That's what you're gonna. There you go. That's your Patronus happening now.
Is that a slippery slope that they're going to go down? And here we are again, just questions.
It is questions. Things to think about. Anyway, guys, I think that's going to be the end of our show this week. Thank you guys for coming out. Be sure to come back next week because it's going to be one either insanely
gonna be a wild
exciting-
ride.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It'll be fun. Gonna be fun.
We don't know what emotion, but there's going to be emotion.
There will be a lot of emotion. And you're gonna there's just gonna be a lot of energy. You're gonna want to
prepare for rants.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna go off. I imagine everyone else is. We're probably gonna go off. It's gonna be. Yeah. It's gonna be a podcast.
Yeah, definitely will. Anyway, I want to thank all my amazing hosts. We got Alpha Soul of the _ Alpha Soul. He does videos, Twitch streams. You do Twitch streams still, don't you? I think you're doing it a little bit. Here or there. Mostly YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Great news recaps. Check out all of his stuff. Of course, if you're in our Discord, he posts them there as well, and I try to retweet them everywhere. Of course, we got Stormzord of Digital Piper Studios. Check him out and all of his games that he's developing over there. And of course, Crowjack streaming, YouTube, Twitter.
None of it ashes right now.
No ashes right now.
No ashes.
I mean, arguably, I think that's for all of us. Anyway, you can follow me and everything we do over at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. There you find links to all of our social media, including Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Be sure to check out our Patreon program if you're interested in helping support the show at patreon.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork. You can also support the show by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes so people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words. Sometimes they matter. Again, thank you so much, guys. You are amazing. Thank you for joining us on this episode of From the Ashes.